that we've got to get on. So they're a little more than half. So there's going to be some folks out there that, because it's not mandatory, you're going to have some facilities that are going to have, you know, quite a few employees, and you're going to have some facilities that when you pull this up, you're going to have the director, because directors are required to be on, but staff are not. The staff that we have in the system, are primarily staff that receive reward, or they're at facilities that the director has, you know, maybe come to Leadership Academy, and we give vouchers for all of their staff to get on, and we definitely encourage them to get their staff on. So there's going to be some facilities that when you pull this report up, it's going to have just the director and no one else. In that case, it may not be as important to print it out, but where it has a good number of staff, if you don't know exactly how many staff are there, taking this report with you so that you can say, I don't need to see training for these people, but I need to see training for whatever other employees you have. So that's going to, you know, that'll be kind of how you determine how you want to use the report. A little bit of information about the report. When someone joins the registry, they sign a waiver that says we can share information out of the registry to Department of Human Services, Oklahoma Child Care Services, because we're a contractor. We have that in our release. The information in this report is protected information. It's protected under a law that's called FERPA, which is the Federal Education Information Act, something like that. But that information, because you have access to educational information, we ask that you maintain this information as very confidential. The way the system is set up, the director can see basically what you can see on the page right now. The director does not have access to open Linda's form. She can ask Linda to go print her form and give it to her, but she doesn't even have that access. So if you have a copy of Linda's report, there could be some directors out there that would love to have a copy of that. And the way the system is set up, they can't access that information themselves because it's protected. Unless Linda gives it to the director, you know, we can't give it to the director, and therefore you wouldn't be able to give it to the director either. So we just ask that you know, keep that in the back of your mind, that, you know, you do have protected information under the FERPA Act, that we have the permission to share with you, but that's really as far as that permission goes. You can also save the report. You know, when you export it, that you could save it to, you know, a file on your computer. So if you wanted to do several facilities all at one time and not print, if maybe you have to print at a community printer, and so you would save them as you were looking at maybe this whole week's caseload or whatever, so you would save all of those documents and then print at one time so that you could just go and pick them up or whatever. You know, however you handle your workload, that would be whatever's going to be easiest for you. The other thing that, you know, after you have looked at all of these records, you know, the one thing that's important is that you would definitely click the sign out button so that you've logged out of the system, because with the username and password that you have, I mean, with a K-8 number, you could look up any facility and look up records on any individual at any facility that was associated. So you have access to lots of information with that login. So we just ask that you would sign out at the end of your session, and then log back in when you need to get back to the information if you needed it again. And that's really how simple it is to use the system. You really are just logging in, clicking registry report, and then clicking facility report, and then typing in a K8 number. So it's that simple. I'm going to let go of the microphone, so if anyone has any questions. Go ahead, Misty. The question is, how do we know who are approved training sponsors? Right now, approved training sponsors, Oklahoma Child Care Services are approved training sponsors, the R&Rs, Career Tech, CPD. We have the State Health Department has a signed memorandum of understanding. That's the Department of Forestry for their Project Wild curriculum has a signed memorandum of understanding. So those are the folks right now that are entering in trainings and training rosters. So that's kind of the approved training sponsors at this point. And as far as how do you know who they are? I mean, if their training is showing up on their record, obviously it's an approved training sponsor. If it has the organization, it's an approved training sponsor. The information could be showing up on their record because they submitted a certificate. If they submit a certificate, it's going to say system generated. If they're not approved, how do they get approved? If an organization wants to become an approved training organization, we have a questionnaire that they fill out. They will do a memorandum of understanding with the University of Oklahoma because there's certain criteria that expectations of an approved training organization. They have to enter in all of their training, they have to enter in the rosters, they have to maintain the paper copies of their enrollment information so that if there's a discrepancy, we can go back to verify that. They have to keep that information. They have to keep that information for 5 years so that we could go back to them anytime in those 5 years. So that's kind of the process of how they get approved. And then we said, let's see. Okay, we were having technical difficulties at first and missed how to log in. Okay, I can go back to show you how to log in. When you click on the link to get to the registry, and you'll be receiving an email from Luann that has the link to get to the registry as well as a little 2-page user guide, and then it has like three pages of information about the FERPA Act. So I can show you that, and then it looks like we have a question. When it becomes mandatory and our homes participating, we have some homes